Good evening, everyone. How's it going? My name is David Topping. You'll know me as White Walker 1 from the Ulster Rugby Roundup show, White Walkers Chat and Crack. But tonight I've donned the other hat and I'm here on behalf of Livestream Solutions, who are an organisation who collaborates with other businesses and organisations around Ireland, around the globe, and we elevate their presence within the atmosphere and the internet. We collaborate, we engage, we build thriving communities through that collaboration, and obviously we take that branding and we elevate that as far as we can take it. Tonight we have a special collaboration with Andy Daniel from Scrum 5, and I'm going to bring Andy in here. Hello, Andrew. Good evening.
I'm okay, thank you. I'm good. Good evening to everyone watching. And I just want to say, I may have said the tagline, but I didn't type that tagline in. I'm not that narcissistic, Dave.
More like a living legend, tell you. Only you could do it, my filibustering friend. How are you? How's things been?
I am really good, thanks, man. Really good. Yeah, the what we're about to talk about is, let's say, it's been filling the cup for the last few months, definitely. And yeah, things are good in South Africa. And yeah, the rugby landscape's as strong as it's always been. But yeah, like again, what we're chatting about now, he could be so much stronger, which is scary.
Well, you know, the story of what you've done over there in South Africa, it's one of those ones where just passions took over and really has made a huge difference to some of the communities there. You know, I've watched that since the start, and we're going to touch on that a lot this evening. And plus, also this evening, folks, we'll have a special guest from Saron Rugby Club, Hyco JACOBS. We will have a wee chat with Hyco in a little while, just to show what Rugby Recycle and Scrum 5 have done for the community there. So, but we will touch on that in a little while. But first of all, Andy, can you just give our audience an idea of who you are? You know, where does Scrum 5 originate, and where did you get the idea for the project?
Well, Scrum 5 originated as a Twitter handle because I thought I knew stuff about rugby, so I started tweeting about it. How times have changed, because I can't stand that platform now. I'm rarely on it. But no, I moved to South Africa in 2018, and I needed to start a company to work here with my wife and my 2 kids, and I thought, well, I'll call it Scrum 5 and do some rugby media work. So I do commentate on Super Sports Schools, Varsity Cups and Curry Cup. And I did the Jean de Villiers Festival, for example, this last weekend. But a couple of years ago, I got contacted by an academy up in Queenstown, which is in the Eastern Cape, in a very rural area. And it wasn't the first time somebody had contacted me asking whether I do rugby kit. You know, obviously the clues in the title with the company name and everything. And the reason this particular gentleman sort of hit home with me was that he tried everywhere. He'd gone to SARU, he'd gone to local government, national, Lotto, the lot, you know, all of that stuff. And he'd actually tried. So he wasn't just coming with the whole, I've got a load of lads and we need ball sort of chat, which had been quite common. And like, you know, this isn't a new story, especially in South Africa. So I kind of started looking into it. Yeah, without going into too much detail, there's a few organizations here that weren't interested at all. And I was told that I wouldn't be able to get this off the ground. So I metaphorically went back to the UK and got hold of a company called SOS Kit Aid, who have just won a big World Rugby Award. And John Broadfoot, the founder, has just won an MBE as well. So it's a really good story. But he couldn't get the kit into South Africa because of the duties, etc., and it was just too expensive. So we needed to find another way. And then we found out that the UK Foreign Office were willing to bring it into South Africa for us in the diplomatic bag. As part of a charity scheme, which was just unbelievable. And during this time as well, I met, well, let's call my partner in crime over in the UK, who happens to be South African, is Gareth Simpson, who's the current scrum half for Saracens. He used to play for Sharks and then Worcester. And his story is that when he was at Durban High School, they played a rural school, and they weren't allowed to wear boots because the other school didn't have boots. So they had to play barefoot, and Gareth saw the injustice in this. So what he did was get all the mates that could afford to donate a pair of boots, and they went back down there the week after, and that's how Rugby Recycled was born. So then it was very easy for us to put the two names together, and obviously when unfortunately Worcester went under, Gareth managed to sort of grab a bit of that kit, and then they've got a great relationship at Jersey Reds where his father used to play. They had some spare kit. Obviously, I hope it's nothing to do with me, but they're obviously now struggling. But they gave us a load of kit in the mini junior section, and then SOS Kit Aid topped it up. And literally, this kit arrived, and it was like Raiders of the Lost Ark got the crowbar up, and literally, and all these balls and boots just went. And we launched the project with the High Commissioner, the UK High Commissioner here in Cape Town. It was amazing. Like some greats of the South African game there. Brian Abba was there, and also a lot from the community from back in apartheid days that would have probably won a lot of caps, but are legends in their own right in their communities there. And Gary Gold and Dick Muir and a few of the Stormers players. And then after that, I was kind of like, I've got all this kit now. Who do I contact? So I contacted a few local schools, and we started donating kit to them. And then, of course, social media being social media, it sort of creates a bit of a buzz. And then, since then, it's just been constant. So the fact that I'm like kind of out of kit at the moment, there's loads in the UK waiting to come over there. We've been collecting hard there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's so much going on. And the thing is, Dave, is that it moved from a rugby project and it's become a social impact project now as well, which Hyco will touch on in a minute, and he'll tell you about the effects of it. But that's just made it even more special. And now we're branching out now. Like, we're not branching out, but I'm able to now put things like the women's game at the top of the priority list because it's massively under-resourced in this country, unfortunately. There's still a bit of social stigma over here, whereas obviously, like in England, that the women's setup in England is incredible, and Ireland are getting there, and they've made professional waves, and Wales and Scotland are doing the same now, and they're actually getting professional players and professional clubs. And they're a long way from that here. So I'm actually tomorrow going to Girls Academy and handing out a load of size 3 and 4 rugby balls that I still had left over, and some other stuff. So it's not just the boys and it's not just the men. We're trying to help wherever we can, as long as people are on the rugby field.
Well, give me a sense then of let's see, you've given a kit to quite a number of places now at this point. Give me a sense of the reactions that you get when you arrive with this, box of goodies, and nobody has any idea what's in there until it's opened up, and just give us a sense of reactions to some of the local clubs.
I mean, there's so many amazing reactions and stories that I just never thought. Like, you just don't expect the reaction because you've got that kind of sense at the beginning. Like, is the kit good enough? Am I punching down? I don't want to come across as patronising, but I just love rugby so much, and I know what it can do to people by being on a rugby field. And I'm sort of playing the man. I'm not playing the club. I'm not playing it's kind of like that. But I got contacted by a new social, like a sevens team. And in fact, I got two quick stories for you. Sevens team.
Yeah.
And they sent out like a blanket email to try and get funding. But they started it in Umbukweni, which is a small township in between Paarl and Wellington. I live in Paarl. And they had their first tournament coming up, and they had no match shirts. They were borrowing. They didn't really have any. But there's some really good coaches from the local area who represent clubs had started this. So I went down there on a Wednesday night to Umbukweni, and like the pitch, the floodlights had been stolen. A lad had broken his leg at the weekend because of the state of the pitch. I mean, I thought Penzance and Newlyn 13 pitch would be the lowest I saw. Like this is like
This
on
was,
another level.
wow.
And like they're clearing needles off the pitch, you know, and these guys are in toxic environments at home, or their parents. It goes on. I'm not trying to cast aspersions, but there could be alcoholics, there could be drug issues. But these guys are training like 3 or 4 times a week, and the quality is brilliant. So I go down there, and they didn't know I was coming, apart from the one guy. And we get into a huddle, and I start talking to him, and I basically gave them brand new, like Newcastle Falcons professional rugby shirts that had come from when they were in the championship. Yeah. Glasgow Warriors shorts. I'm talking the shorts with the rubber on the inside that keep them up. Do you know what I mean? Like next level. And the Glasgow Warriors socks. And it was their first ever kit. And the kid opposite me just looked up to the sky and went, "Thank you, God." And that, like, the meaning in what he was saying was like not lost on me. And it was incredible. And I still get goosebumps talking about it. And then the second time actually involves Hyco, who we're going to meet in a minute. I went to a sevens tournament after I'd met him, and I met his team and everything like that. And he says, no, you've got to come and meet this guy. And there's an area of Pyle called Chicago. And it's gangster land, to put it bluntly. But there was a team in there. This guy, an ex-gangster, is trying to start a rugby team, a sevens team. And he's trying to keep these guys on the straight. Some of them are ex-convicts, some of them, you know, and all that. And anyway, introduced, we're literally by the side of the pitch, boiling hot, dusty day. It was up in northern Pyle. And the guy says, yeah, no, we can't get shirts and everything like that. And I told him, I've got a set of shirts for you. And he looked at me and Hyco and he goes, I think I'm going to cry. There's a gangster or ex-gangster. He's reformed, like he's reforming himself. Yeah. And he's like almost tearing up that I can give his team a set of shirts that's going to help him, change everything. And I went and watched them play sevens, and then they went and they went and like won the next tournament and won like X amount of £1,000, which now helps him keep those guys on the pitch, you know. And if they're on the rugby pitch, they're not bored in the street. They're not, you know, doing whatever that's getting themselves into trouble. Yeah. So amazing. So many stories like that.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely amazing what a small gesture like that can do to totally rebuild, but also super boost confidence, you know, to the point where you go out and you're winning games simply because somebody is giving you a shirt off their back, literally. That is an absolutely fascinating thing, because when you think about it, the feeling of having a shirt on the back, you know, knowing that somebody's taking the time out to donate that, get it to you, it'd be almost like, well, for want of a better phrase, manna from heaven. It's that thank you for, you know, where has this come from? And I think it's that. I think every time you get that reaction, as you say, it's the goosebumps, it's the chills. You know, it hits you right there emotionally, and that's where the satisfaction comes from, I suppose.
Yeah, and there's also a knock-on effect because their kids are there watching them play rugby.
Yeah.
Right? And to those kids, you remember when you were little and your dad used to take to my dad used to referee, so I was looking at these guys in Cornwall League 1 and 2, and they were like heroes to me, because I was like, oh, I want to play on there one day. All these people cheering them and everything like that. So the kids are watching their parents set the right example by being on a rugby field. So it just trickles down. So all of a sudden, it's like all they want to do is be on a rugby field. And these kids are there week in, week out, doing exactly what we did, running up and down the touchline, pretending to be, it was Jerry Guscott and Phil de Glanville back in the day. You're probably Simon Gagan, weren't you? But
oh no, I was more Keith Wood myself now.
There you go. They've shown your age now, Dave. Maybe I'm showing mine. But he's like, and watching these kids, I was like, it kind of hit me a little bit. I was like that as a kid, and they've got something to aspire to, you know, and it's something that is right. You know, being on a sports field is a good thing. Walking the streets, not a good thing. Being on a rugby field, good thing. So it's like, you know, it's everything that comes with it, you know.
You know what? I think it's about time that we bring out our special guest this evening. We'll bring Hyco up in here. So just keep it on there with us, and we'll be back with you in just a minute. And please welcome our special guest, Hyco JACOBS. Hello, Hyco. How are you?
Hi, David. Hi, Andy. No, I'm fine. I'm fine, David. Busy as usual.
Good. Oh no, well, thank you for taking the time out to chat with us this evening. And how are things with you today?
No, things are fine with me today, Andy. As long as I can be on the rugby field, everything is good.
I like that. That is the correct answer right there. Now, obviously, Hyco, I know that you do a lot in your community, and I know when chatting with Andy earlier, you know, he sort of brought me up to speed with some of the things that you're doing. Can you tell us what you know, what you're doing at the minute? Are you coaching? Are you involved with any clubs at the minute?
Yes, David. I was actually a player until last year, and then I had an offer from the Saron Rugby Football Club. It's about 42 k's, 42 kilometers away from where I live in Wellington. So I took the opportunity to come out to the Saron to see if I can make a difference and helping them to compete in the league that they are currently in. So compete with the top clubs in the Boland.
Excellent. And Hyco, you know, where does Scrum 5, where does Andy fit into this whole jigsaw puzzle?
Okay, so during the COVID times, we went to level 3. And what happened in our community is that all the young boys started turning to gangsterism because there was nothing in our community that kept them busy.
Yeah.
So the foundation that I started in 2018, firstly it was to help a little boy get his cochlear implant so that he can have a normal life, adhering and develop speech. After that, after we have successfully gained funds to help this little boy, we thought, no man, what else can we do to give back to the community that helped us to help this boy? And so the foundation that I have, we started playing. It was called the Spa Beach Tournament. It was in Cape Town on Kemps Bay. So we participated for two or 3 years in that tournament, and then the gangsterism in our community hit us, and it hit us very badly. And it was among youngsters, 12, 13-year-old, 16-year-old boys. And on the tournament on a Saturday, we sat down and we said, listen, what can we do to bring back hope in our community? And so we came up with the idea that to take the touch tournament that was held on the beach each year and bring it to our community and see if we can get these boys into these programs. So we started off with 6 teams, and the 6 teams grew into 20 teams. So we had at least two teams in each area in Wellington that was ridden by the gangsterism. And so it became very successful. With the touches, we was able to get all these kids that were fighting against each other. We got them on the same field. We got them to do sport, and there was hope again in our communities. So after COVID, the 15 clubs came back, and the 15 started. But these boys were still left out of the club because they were too young. So we started the social sevens tournaments. So we had about, I would say 16 teams at first. But for some of the teams, financially they couldn't get kit. They couldn't. So the teams were wearing different jerseys, and it was just not a good sight. Some of the teams had financial backing from sponsors and stuff like that, but the most of the teams, the areas that we wanted to reach, they couldn't get any sponsors because of the gangsterism in the communities. Um, when I saw a post of Scrum 5 with Andy and the team in my community where I come from, now that community was a bad community when it came to gangsterism amongst the youngsters. So I had a chat with the coach to ask him to get a team together and come join the social circuit and create hope again, because there's a lot of talent in the community called Carterville. And then somehow we got it right to get the team up and running, but I couldn't be there all the time. So there was guys that had a means of reaching out to people like Andy, to a Pick and Pay, to a few sponsors to help. And I saw the post that Andy put on Facebook, and I saw the guys with the Newcastle Falcons kit and everything. I was like, yes, I had to meet this guy. I had to get hold of this guy and bring him to the tournaments and introduce him to some of the guys that we work with that also wanted to create hope and get rid of gangsterism. So I reached out to Andy, and we had a chat. Me and Andy met at a coffee shop where Andy sponsored balls that I brought to the club where I'm currently at. But it didn't stop there. On that day, I invited Andy to the tournament. I said, Andy, listen, you have to come out. There's a tournament. And Andy came and we met up. We took a few pics with some of the jerseys, the kit that Andy also sponsored me to give to the second team that I had. And then I introduced Andy to Damien.
Yeah.
And that was everything that I hope for Damien, because I know how tough it is to get these kids off the street. But now you get into a tournament where most of the teams, they have kit, they look the same, there's unity and everything. So for me, it was to help Damien. I had to get Andy on board, and Andy immediately saw the need. And as Andy said, the tournament after that, they won, because now there's that sense of a team. You look the same, the spirit is good, and there's hope again. So Andy coming on board with all the teams that he helped in the social circuit, that created a massive spark, and there's more teams coming out now for the next season. So that unity, that same dress that the kids have, it means a lot to our community, especially a community where gangsterism is taking over. It's taking our young talented kids off the street. Some of them that I know were killed in gang violence, and it makes me sore, man. But when stuff like this happens, like Scrum 5 coming on board, yes, it really means a lot to our community. We don't, in our communities, there's no one to look up to, because as soon as a person makes it out of the community, they don't look back. They made it out, so it's for them. It's forward onwards. So that need, that responsibility of giving that young 10-year-old, 9-year-old boy someone to look up to and say, I want to be like that one day. That is what we strive for in our community.
That is an absolutely fantastic story about, you know, where we go from, you know, kids with absolutely nothing to kids, and having the kit then brings that united front. It lifts that desire further, reaches the furthest end of it. And I think what Andy, Scrum 5, and yourselves have done it's absolutely inspirational. To be very good, and you know, one thing I found now when I was doing sort of a wee bit of research, you know, before we came on tonight, I understand during the COVID pandemic, by way of rugby, you managed to turn down the crime rate in your local community. Can you give me a
Yes.
sense or give me an idea of how you've managed that and what happened afterwards?
Okay, so what we did was we needed to reach out to guys in that community that also wanted to bring a change in the community, because it was mainly youngsters that lost their lives on the battlefield, as I might say. So in the one community, we had a guy. He was for some reason he was the leader of this gang. And in his community, and where I come from, those two gangs were fighting first before the other areas were also coming up with these gangs and everything. So I went to him and I said, "Listen, man, we need to do something about this, because it's our young boys. These boys are our future. So is there a way that we can take hands? If you can um, get up a team to play touches, and we can get these boys on the field just to show them that you are still kids, and we understand that the COVID took a lot away from you, but to kill each other is not the answer." And we knew that these boys only wanted to do sport, because in our communities, rugby is the main thing. There is a lot of boys at schools, they just want to play rugby. So we knew rugby had the power to bring these boys, these kids off the street and compete in a positive manner. And so we started with a team where the gangsterism was heavy. We started with that team, and at the end of the day, we could get all these young gangster how can I say, these gangster cliques. We managed to get all of them onto one field, and then we had a chat, um, and we didn't involve any politicians or any mayors. It was just us in the community having a cry out to to stop this fighting and stop the killing, and let's do something positive. And so the kids could, on a Saturday, on a Sunday, all the kids talked about the whole week was going to practice, because there's a tournament this weekend, and the parents could come out and watch the tournament. And so that created hope, and that made the gangsterism percentage come down, like almost where there was a stage for 5 to 4 months where there were no gangsterism at all. So that is what the touch rugby and the sevens rugby brought to our community, where you had no fighting for weekends. The kids were sober on weekends, because after a tournament they go home, they don't feel to go out and get alcohol. They are tired. The parents kept them positive after tournaments and said, "Listen, you can't drink, you can't go outside, you need to stay focused, because Monday is practice." So all of that added to the success of bringing the gangsterism and the killings down in our community.
Wow, absolutely fantastic. And again, it just shows the power of rugby as one uniting force on this. And thank you very much, Shirley, for that lovely comment there. So inspiring, making a difference, the pride in uniformity, and absolutely turning lives around. You know, that's just so important. Now, funny enough, Shirley, it's something which we're going to talk about now. Andy, I know that you've been busy. giving out the kit everywhere. Have you managed to get through to any of girls' groups yet?
Well, this is going to be the good news story, I think. So I'm working with a guy, two academies that Hyco will know well, Sukumzi, and there's another guy called Jason Polman who runs an incredible place down in Mannenberg. They've got girls playing. My big problem with girls playing is the fact that they're getting handed down boys and men's jerseys, and they're not being given the respect they need. So a little while back, I got the UK viewers will know the good, the bad, the rugby, and they'll also know the good, the scaz, the rugby, and that's the women's spin-off of that. And there's a Emily Scarrett, who's obviously an ex-World Player of the Year, but there's a lady on there called Elma Smith, who works now for World Rugby and is obviously the host of that podcast and many other things. She's South African. And she had Babawa Lacha, and the name's just gone out of my head, so apologies for that. Another South African rugby girl on there. And they were just saying how hard it was growing up in the same communities that Hyco's just been talking about now. And then they've got the added stigma that they're not supposed to be playing rugby that comes with it. And after that, someone contacted Elma Smith, and I was like, how can we help from the UK? It was just a random gentleman. And I was just setting up a GoFundMe page at the time in the UK because I had a lot of friends who were like, how can we help if we haven't got rugby kit? Can we help you, even if it's just with your petrol and storage and everything that's outgoing? And he donated some money. And he's like, as long as it goes to girls rugby. I'm like, cool, no worries. Then the next thing you know, Elma Smith, who's got thousands and thousands of followers, puts on her Instagram and Twitter page that she doesn't want a present for her birthday this year. She wants everybody to donate to Scrum 5 Rugby Recycled. So I started getting donations off the back of that. Elma herself donated. And tomorrow I'm taking a load of girls' kit down to Jason and his academy. In
fact, actually, I think we have a wee photograph here.
Yeah.
So here we go.
So that's the Sukumzi Academy. Which Hyco will know well, and they are getting, with the donation, their first ever girls rugby kit. Girls kit being made for them. We've paid for it already. It should be here in the next week or so, and then we're going to take down there with that size 3 and size 4 rugby balls. We're taking down cones for them because, like I say to people, cones, you can mark out a rugby pitch with a set of cones, and that's what we need. And what else are we taking there? First ever first aid kit. I'm taking a first aid kit down there for them, and a pump for the balls and some water bottles. And when you convert pounds and euros into rand, it go a long way. But for these girls and his team who have just played in the International Rugby 10s Championship down here, so they're all guns blazing, so to speak. They're going to have their first ever, and it's women's cut, girls cut rugby kits. It's not boys kit that they're going to have to use. So yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, I think that might be quite an emotional day, that one, but it's. Everything's heading in the right direction, and we're talking to women's clubs in the UK. And Gareth and Tina are obviously doing Gareth's mum, Tina, she's actually the driving force in the UK. Gareth's just the face, we let him turn up and take the glory. He'll kill me for saying that. He does way more than that. But she's, so, Saracens have obviously got a big women's section. And then we've started partnering with like a kit company called Scimitar in the UK. And a lot of their stuff is recycled. The kit they make is recycled. They use plastic bottles and they grind it all down and it goes into the fabric. So that sits well with what we're trying to do as well. But like they'll phone me up and they'll say, mate, we've just found 2 boxes of sports bras in our warehouse. Now, I really don't mean this in any crass manner whatsoever, but I go and watch my own daughter who's only 10, but she's like in these athletics competitions, and there's girls from communities that Hyco works in that don't have the right equipment to be doing the 100 meters. If you catch my drift, and I don't want to create images for people. I'm just trying to lay it down. Now, if we can now go, I'll take those and I'll go with Hyco and we'll go into his community, and there's athletes or women's rugby players in there, and we can give them their first ever sports bra so that they can actually play pain-free, run pain-free. Amazing. You know, so all of this stuff, although I said I'm going to like completely stay on the rugby thing, I still think that fits in it. But yeah, they're like, they've got thousands of T-shirts that they've got that have been sponsored before, and they only needed 2,000 of the 4,000 that were made. They're going to come out here as well, and we can just, even if we can just get kids a T-shirt, they all look the same and feel like they can play in the same kit. Like Hyco just said, the sense of belonging that gives them is just next level. So yeah, it's we're doing all sorts. We're partnering schools in the UK with schools over here. They're going to bring kit over with them. So if anybody is watching and their school are touring South Africa this year, which could be the case because there's quite a few coming over, give us a shout, because we can help partner the school, and we can also give, as these are not my words, the director of rugby that I met yesterday, he's like, a lot of privileged kids, a bit of a reality check, and I'm up for that.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? And I think it's just one of those things where the power of just a simple act of kindness from a school heading out there, even if it was only to donate part of the kit, I think that would. It made such an amazing difference, and yeah, absolutely, the fact that we want to try and get people the right equipment to play the sport that they want to play, I think that transcends all levels, not just in the rugby sphere, but certainly in all levels, in the sustainability aspect of Scimitar's work as well. Very much a full on thumbs up to what you guys are doing. Hyco, on another note, what about your own club, Saron Rugby Club? What does the future hold for the club now?
David, as I can say for now, well, when I came to Saron Rugby Club, the morale was very low, because Saron is a small town outside of Wellington. It's actually a farm, kind of like a town. So for Saron now, we actually, there's hope now, because we are actually fifth on the table, and we are competing with the top clubs in the Boland in this region. And we played four league matches already, of which we won two matches. The one match that we won. Hello?
Yep, we're here.
The one match that we won, we actually made history, because that is a club that competes with a club like Roses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but at Saron also, there's the equipment. There's no equipment. You have to do with what is here. So for now, we're only using cones. We don't have diving bags or tackling shields, and even the cushions that comes around the poles is. I wish I could show you a picture of how it looks, but then again, funding and everything is very difficult to get to a club like Saron, because most of the companies, the big companies, they want to be associated with big clubs to give them exposure and everything, advertisement and all that stuff. So for me as the head coach now is to bring hope to the club and get the club into the WhatsApp group, as I may say, where all the big clubs are having conversations. So we have two rounds that we play. So we are We are in the first round of which we've played 4 games. We won 2 and lost 2. So we are getting there slowly. But the challenge is what drives me, because you have to make do with what you have, because there's no tackling bags, I said, tackling seals. They don't have cones and stuff like that, because the club is being run being run by the gate fee that they get in on a Saturday when they play a home match.
Yeah.
And then the week after that, you have to use that money that you made when you played home. You have to use that money to pay bus fare, to rent a bus, so that you can get the players to the next town to play. So it's constantly a battle. But for me as the head coach, my job is to make sure that the boys are positive and that they concentrate on the main thing, which is playing rugby, enjoying themselves, and we back each other. We don't look at what we have, but we tell ourselves, because we are less privileged than the other clubs, we can, on the rugby field, you are equal. It doesn't matter which equipment you have, how much money you have. On a Saturday, when you get on that field, between that 4 lines, then you are equal. So that is what drives us to get into the top 4 or the top 3, so that sponsors can come on board and say, listen, we have been following, we see progress, how can we help? Because at the moment, there's a lot of clubs around this region that struggles, of which the top clubs reach, they are all reaping the rewards of big sponsors and stuff like that. But we are getting there. We are getting there.
Well, you know what? That in particular is something which I feel very strongly about. It's up to all our professional clubs, and especially those where there are going to be changes in terms of kit, but that kit can be made available, to organisations like Andy's, to get that out to clubs like yourselves, Hyco, and obviously, I think our best call would be to try and get as much information out as possible to all the clubs, north, south, east, and west, to try and bring everybody together in that spirit of rugby. To take a few, take some kit, push it on. Let Andy recycle it and bring it to you guys, and help it put things through. And certainly Shirley there makes a great point. Could the big clubs hand down the equipment if they're renewing their own, which I think would be an excellent idea, Shirley. Absolutely. And she says you're doing a remarkable job in very challenging circumstances. So keep getting the wins.
This is Dave. Just to jump in, this is what I don't understand in South Africa. There seems to be this distrust of, like, if we give kit away, where it goes. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it comes from. Not my problem. But if I can guarantee you that it's going to go to people like Hyco, who are the real heroes of the communities, I might have a nice Facebook page with a photographer. But in comparison, what Hyco's doing, we had an amazing sevens tournament a few weeks back. I went there, met Hyco. We had a little walk around. It was brilliant. It was at the Pal Stadium. It was amazing. And then I texted him in the evening, said, "Oh, how did it end up?" And he says, "I don't know. I've got to go back to my community because a young man's just been shot." Right?
Yeah.
I'm turning up with boxes that I am very privileged to have got sent over to me. And yes, the product is great news. But what we need now is the Sharks, the Lions, the Stormers, and everything. And I've got a meeting with potentially one of them in the next week or so, and we'll talk about it. But nothing's been forthcoming from South Africa, and I'm now in great discussions with people who make pad protectors and things like that in South Africa. And I've said to them, I'm not coming with the begging bowl. None of us are coming with the begging bowl. What we're coming with is a potential return on investment, because I went down and handed out some kit to a club called Albion's, who Hyco's trying to get into their league. Probably beat them already, eh? But I went down to Dal Yosafat Stadium, it's a big athletic stadium. Behind it, is there 6 pitches behind there, Hyco? I think 5 or 6 pitches.
I think it's 7. It's seven pitches.
7. There you go. And mate, Dave, you've never seen so many people at pre-season rugby training in your life. I went to Bot Rafia, 60 plus people. It was load shedding. There was no light. They were using the cars to shed light on 20 meters of the pitch, right?
My goodness.
I went down to Dal Yosafat. There was 7 pitches, 6 different clubs, I think, were there that night. 250, I'm rough counting, 250 to 300 people training, and all their kids are there watching them. And then I said to them, when all these boys play at home, how many people are here? And the guy, I swear to you, the guy says to me, if they're all at home, big matches, we can have up to 30,000 people from the community watching this rugby. Now, with my business head on now, I'm going, there's an economy that could be so circular, which is what World Rugby want. It's in their manifesto. I've read page after page. They want a circular economy. That's a circular economy. Okay? Yeah. So you go down there, you get a kit supplier on board who can sell at a decent level scarves, hats, whatever it is. That money goes back into those clubs and it just grows the fabric of rugby at grassroots level. And it doesn't really cost anybody anything other than the production. Knowing full well that I have 30,000 people going down there and eating off the little burger stand and the little Tanny selling her samosas, like, which are lovely, by the way, they're amazing. But what I'm saying is there's so much opportunity, but there seems to be this disconnect or distrust that Hyco goes and says, we need funding, we need this, we need that. There's kind of like, yeah, they want to do it from afar, and it's kind of, and that's got to change. And that's where amazing people like Hyco, where I'm trying to help to go, well, actually, guys, here's the evidence. It's working. It's working. Invest in it. Because Hyco told me that amazing story during COVID, but he left out what happened after it got stopped, which was gangsters and kicked straight back in. Kicked straight back in. Yeah. And it's just unnecessary. It's just unnecessary. We're never going to clean it all up. We're never going to clean it all up. But Hyco's day shouldn't be ruined after he's had 4 or 5 different sevens teams that he's touched in one way or another, whether I was introduced to them or he coaches them or they've got their kit from me, etc., to then be on driving on the way home and find out that a member of his community has passed away in a gangster incident or a gun incident. We're never going to get rid of it. That's not what we're trying to do. It's going to happen because these people are wired that way. But how can he get rival gangs onto a rugby field and it cuts the crime in his area with nothing, with no resource, just the power of talking? So, you know, these South African big rugby clubs, what we call the container of shame, I like to call it, is that I bet you if they open those containers that you and I used to walk past every day on that training field, in the UK, Ireland, whatever, it's the same here. There's affluent clubs here. It doesn't just go Stormers and Grassroots. There's, you know, super leagues in between. I bet you there's 5 sets of cones at the back. I bet you there's tackle shields that haven't been used for 2 or 3 years. If there's a rip in it, don't worry about it. We'll take it. Because I know, in fact, Hyco knows somebody in his community who can fix that, you know, who can rewrap it, who can sew it up properly. So, like, just give us a shout. We'll pick it up. I'm talking to like courier companies now and delivery companies and stuff like that who hopefully, touch wood, will help move this stuff around the country and get it to us. So everything's possible, but everyone's got to be on board and just show a little bit of trust and a little bit of faith, and we'll sort it out.
Well, look, as Rob Taylor said earlier there, and I'll spit his comment again, he just said, like, club rugby in my area is a mess. It's something that we need to speak about and find solutions for. And
so Rob's in the Eastern Cape.
Yeah.
And their grassroots rugby landscape is so similar to the Boerland. It's ridiculous. The amount of talent that is falling by the wayside is so similar to where Hyco does all his good work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's absolutely right. But no, it's good to hear from Rob, and we'll definitely be in contact. We'll have a chat.
Oh, absolutely. You know, think for me, the one thing I can take away from this, and even in just the short time I've been talking with you, is the sheer amount of work that both you and especially you, Hyco, the amount of passion, the amount of work, you could feel it. And I live here in the northwest of Ireland. I can tell you now, I feel it from here. And that just shines through, and it's a very, very inspirational story, and certainly it's something which I hope that we can bring to Irish rugby here, to back over to England again, and even bring it up to World Rugby, and to say, look, this is what's happening. Can you help us? And it wouldn't take much to do something. Even just a simple, a very simple donation, a simple club saying, "Yep, we've got a set of cones. Let's send them over." It doesn't take.
The head of Springbok Women's Rugby is Irish. Lynn Cantwell. She used to play for Ireland, so she'd be fully on board. Fully on board.
Oh yes, absolutely. Well, words may need to be had. But you know what? I think anybody who watches this, and no matter when you catch up with us, guys, it's one of those success stories that can only get better, but it needs help, and anything that we can do. And yep, there is the Night King himself, Nigel Quigley. Nigel, how are you? Yep, absolutely. Every community needs a Hyco. Our kids would be in a much better place, and I think regardless of where you are in the country or in the world, everybody needs a Hyco, and that's a tribute. That's tribute itself, Hyco, to the great work that you're doing there, and obviously with Andy's help and the help of the rest of the community, we'll be able to do something really well and bring something to the masses here for you, and we'll certainly do that. Sort of looking at now the future, Andy, where do you see the future of the project now? Where do you think we can take it, and how far do you think we can take it?
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, if we get the resources behind it, it's kind of limitless to a degree. I had an amazing meeting with the UK High Commission yesterday, who are fully on board, fully invested in this project. I've also met with an amazing charity over here called Oasis, which actually, if anybody's got Netflix, see that the beautiful game that's just on there now. It's the Homeless World Cup, Football World Cup. I've met the boys from that. Some of them are actually extras in the film, believe it or not. And it's a real thing. And we're going to try and help them as well, because boots can be transferred across as well. To really, really push this now is we need help in South Africa. Some of the schools are slowly coming on board, but I keep saying it. It's kind of, we need the circular economy. So we need the kit to be in South Africa to then stay, you know what I mean? And then go to the right places. As well as the kit coming over from the UK with Gareth, Tina, and I mean, we had a collection day at Saracens versus Exeter Chiefs. I mean, everyone's on board. You know what I mean? And anybody sees it and feels it and tackles this project, they're sucked in. And some of the stuff that we're going to do with some of the schools that are coming out here in June and July from the UK, is mind blowing. We're gonna change lives, and things like post protectors and stuff like that, which has been top of a lot of people's agendas. I'm working on it. I'm working on it with the top companies who usually sort of write you that email to say, thanks, what you're doing is great. I've gone to them and said, guys, I'm not coming cap in hand. Like I said earlier, I'm like, where can I get you a return on investment? Whether it's publicity, whether it's whatever. You tell me, I will do whatever needs to be done if I can get affordable post protectors, if I can get affordable flags, because tackle shields and tackle bags and post protectors take up a lot of room in a container. So I could get 2 sets maybe sent out, but that might cost me 8 to 12 boxes of kit, you see? So, and it could be 50 pairs of rugby boots. It could be 30 balls. So rather take the 30 balls. So all the little things that I'm learning, and I'm completely learning on the job, I'm sort of like going, right, who can I contact? Who can I talk to? Who's going to sponsor this? And, you know, if there's companies out there that want to sponsor SAR on some rugby post protectors, we'll whack your logo on it. It's fine, because I know that they'll whack your logo on it. And, you know, we can make a big deal out of you sponsoring it. Like, we're not after the glory. You can take all the glory. I really don't mind. But if it means that there's a sense of worth of what's going around those posts and that they're safe and things like that, then just give us a shout. We'll sort it out. So we're open to all sorts of opinions, offers, or anything like that. And slowly but surely, I'm knitting together the network that's going to hopefully make it seamless, and that both kit from the UK can be seamless coming over, but also if there's opportunities in, say, Durban or in the Eastern Cape, and a club comes forward and says, actually, we've got a load of kit, but we can't really afford to send it to you, I'm hoping to also solve that problem as well. So let's see how we go. But I do want to eventually spread out of the Western Cape. Home is where the heart is at the moment, obviously. And eventually let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens. See who comes on board. See who wants to be involved, and help Hyco just keep doing what he does and just make a huge impact on his community.
Thank you. I'm going to leave the last word with you because with all that we found out this evening, which has been absolutely inspirational. What would you have for anybody watching, anybody listening, anybody in the rugby world? What would your message to them be?
David, just to reach out and help us to somehow put back the hope in our community by helping us where we fall short. I think we are a social, and even here at Saron, we are a group of people that really needs the little stuff to make our goal possible. Whether it is with helping with shields for the post, or even just a small, even if it's just helping us with water bottles and stuff like that, and we can help where help is needed to create that hope and keep that hope alive. Yeah, we don't usually ask for money, but if they can come on board with helping us to get these or to keep the hope alive, as our slogan in the foundation that I'm working in says, keeping hope alive, we would be very much appreciative of that. Also, just to mention, I've recently joined up with the Rhinos team that Frankie Horn, who was a Blitzbock. He runs the Rhinos. I think it's the Rhinos program here in Cape Town. I've been sending in players to join his program just to keep that hope alive. And even tomorrow, I'm taking players from Ceres. One player is from Wellington, the other one is from Stellenbosch. I'm taking them through. They are playing against the Blitzbock Academy tomorrow. So it's that little strides that create the hope that makes more kids, more players want to come and join. So if there's any company or people out there that can help us to better our communities and get rid of the gangsterism and even bring hope into our community, please come on board. And Andy, I have to say to you, thank you for really trusting me to work with you on your project, and really not looking down on us when we put our hand out. You immediately took the hand work together with us. That means a lot for the guys that I work with.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. That's it. I'll echo. I do very little compared to you, my man. Jeez, you never stop and you never give up, and that's an incredible quality you have there, mate.
Well, look, I've really enjoyed this chat with you both, and unfortunately we've come to the end of our time for this evening. But what I would love to do is maybe come back to you and in maybe a couple of months, and just get a wee update where things are at, and Andy, you can give us you can contact me anytime, my friend, and let me know how things are going there, and certainly I'd be more than happy to bring another show to the masses and let everybody know what's going on here. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been an absolutely fantastic show. I'm sure you can agree it's an inspirational story from all sides of the rugby equation. And this has been brought to you by Scrum 5 in conjunction with Livestream Solutions, Livestream Academy, and Livestream Solutions. We bring businesses and we bring organizations together. We elevate your brand by creative engagement and doing everything we can to work with your company and organization to bring the best of live streaming and engage in a thriving community, which is what we aim for. But for tonight, gents, thank you very much for taking the time out. Andy, I know that there's a certain little game coming up, which I know you'd like to get at least 45 minutes to look at, involving our beloved LFC. And Hyco, an absolute inspiration, sir. I'm absolutely so pleased to meet you, and I'd like to catch up with you soon just to see how things are going down there at Saron, and certainly we will be in touch soon. But everybody, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in this evening. We will be back and see you soon. But from myself, David Topping, from Andy, and from Hyco, it's good night.
Thank you.